Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, riveting, and amazing Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, the one, the only master propaganda hero, like defender of the fatherland, off here to a 1v1 on Langraskaya in the north. It is Skeletron, fighting for America, freedom, democracy. Here with the first armored division featuring mechanized company, as always, with Skeletron with mechanized groups, and A437 Shermans, M21 mortar half-tracks, cavalry riflemen, and combined arms with triple infantry bulletins. In the south, it is Paul.A.D, fighting for the Oberkommandwest, Germany, Deutschland. Here with the 2nd Panzerdivision, featuring Elite Armored Overwatch and Grand Offensive. And he's trained to Elite Armored with the 221 armored car, emergency repairs, Panzer Commander, heat shells, and the Sturmtiger. And as always, a big hearty thanks to my Patreon supporters, champions, who is one and all. Without the support, the Propagandacast won't be possible. Other people can join the heroic ranks by Patreon, and as by extension, that big thanks to Dominic for donating to the Propagandacast via PayPal. Other people can join his heroic example and you spend their hard-earned money on me that way by donating via PayPal. Links in the description. Again, big thanks to Dominic for sacrificing his money on me. And finding, commenting, liking, sharing, subscribing, all helps up the Propagandacast there. So, Sturmpionier, Kuban flashing against Rifle Squad there. Dart Truck, if Skeletron laps, of course, get points. It's kind of like the Dart Truck, except bigger. It doesn't start machine gun, it gets a better one. It can transport troops, so it has a lot of utility. It has a lot of utility compared to the Kuban in the longer run. But anyway, 2nd Rifle Squad there for Skeletron. 2nd full squad there for Paul.A.D, striking hard here at the American supply line. Skeletron finds his early game here. Definitely a bit disrupted here. The middle, you can also see he's trying to do the same here in the west, though. Lacking a machine gun, the Dart Truck won't be able to quite pull off the same trick. We're still here. Aggressive play there by Paul.A.D here. Certainly highlighting the power of the Kuppelwagen and the Sturmpionier when working together for Deutschland. Trot on the way there for Paul.A.D. They're probably going to be a fast 2-1 here versus Skeletron, who's definitely found himself under some pressure. Both players with both notes are fairly aggressive players, who do tend to like the, light vehicular, heavy assault infantry based strategy. So to see them both come against each other, I think is an interesting sort of piece of comparison. So far, Paul.A.D with the slightly more aggressive faction, or the US faction of the Oberkommandwest, definitely comes off a bit better to start with, but of course, depending on how things go, Skeletron could definitely overwhelm Paul.A.D rapidly. So I think this is good. Should be a very, very interesting match to watch. But there you go. Both fuel point control of Paul.A.D. We'll have to see, of course, how long he can maintain them, as we got the route towards close again there, backed up by rear echelons. Dart Truck rushing eastward do get the 5th kill on the way there. Ground back the eastern fuel point there for freedom and democracy. And there we go, Paul.A.D with a 2-1 leichte Panzerspielwagen. And of course, have to see what Paul goes for next. Belgium headquarters, mechanized regiment. There's a world of opportunities there. There we go, 5th gun mounted there on the Dart Truck, increasing its firepower significantly. Medical supplies here for Paul.A.D and Deutschland. They're going straight for the car point. Again, aggressive movement here by Paul.A.D, looking to outmaneuver out with his opponent and keep Skeletron guessing. Skeletron there with a lieutenant on the way there as he takes up. Guessing we'll be seeing a 5th gal here to put pressure on Paul.A.D's infantry and also help deal with that 2-1, since a Stuart light tank, I think, is not going to be immediately in the cart here to help push back against all of these armoured vehicles from Paul.A.D. But who knows, Skeletron could surprise. They've got a Sturmpionier going straight for the centre, 2-1 following up here. More wrapping around the centre, but they're met with fierce resistance here by Paul.A.D's infantry. And the car point remains just dug in, entrenched by Paul.A.D's Fultons. They can't get to it. He could, of course, try and grab the centre victory point, but again, Paul.A.D is intensely making this as difficult as possible. There you go, trying to get away from the Rifle Squad. We've got the 5th kill on the way. The Skeletron took a bit of a while, I think, to get around. He's too preoccupied with what's going on the front line to realise that. Sturmpioneer's being pushed back, and there you go. Almost got the ability to grab the fuel point or car point back. We got the race moving, and it looks like going to try and flank up behind here. Truck doing nothing here for Paul.A.D as of yet. Route squad, that was the 2-1. The fight continues. 5th kill almost dead. Lieutenant there pushing back the Fulton. It's close fight here. 5 kills in the Dart Truck. 2-1 backing off here. After intense back and forth action here between Paul.A.D and Skeletron. Skeletron is finally able to push back here. Paul.A.D and the 2nd Panzeraufklärungsabteilung here. And there you go, Region's about to get wiped out by the 2-1 here. A brutal blow there for against America there. Kuban Dart Truck here. 5th kill out there for Skeletron. We in fact see a 2nd one here just to add more anti-infantry. And of course, anti-light vehicle. No additional elements here from Mr. Skeletron as of yet. Again, the pressure has been immense and intense. And will Paul.A.D go for Battlefield Headquarters or the Mechanized Regiment? Both, I'd say, of course, are quite viable options for a variety of reasons here. But Skeletron, of course, hit quick to exploit any opening he made against Paul.A.D. Just push ahead there. Thumbs up. Some players might just sit about, twiddle the thumbs a bit, but not Skeletron. He pushes ahead. He is possessed by Pattern. Which also, I'm sure, would be a absolutely delightful, weird comedy movie. Possessed by Pattern. Starring Ryan Reynolds. Anyways, 5th covers the Falcon Ds, and I'll bet you that's going to happen like in a couple of years. But anyways, 5th cover number 2 on the Skeletron increases the amount of firepower again he can bring to bear as the infantry and the light vehicles, as the 5th cover with armor piercing rounds can easily make short work here of the 2-to-1 there. So there you go. Aggressive push here for control there, and Paul.A.D. definitely now playing himself a bit on the back foot, as he doesn't have like any great tools for dealing with the 5th covers except like an all-out infantry assault with incendiary grenades. Truck has yet to set up here, so no meteor tech here for Paul.A.D. is, I think, great for Skeletron. Allows him to further sort of catch up and gain control here. Second 5th car there looks like he's going to be using these 2 buildings as anchor points in his anti-Paul.A.D. strategy here. Not a bad idea, as again these 2 buildings do possess, I would say, a bit of a dominating presence, though of course at the same time he needs to be able to, like, rush between the buildings, because again otherwise they will be isolated like islands in a sea of, Germans, which tend not to always work out well depending on how aggressive that German player is, and Paul.A.D. is aggressive. But for now, the buildings have been secured with 50 cals. We've got the Stuart light tank here for Skeletron, not slowing down, adding in more light armor for democracy. And down here, nothing further transpiring there in Paul.A.D.'s base. Dart, they've finally got 9 kills on it. Close 32 there, 2-to-1 going for the kill here on the dart truck. 50 well, Academy of misses. And there you go, 2-to-1 caught in a bad spot. The 5th car there, raking it with the heavy automatic fire, shredding the armored cars. The engine goes kaboom and blows up the entire thing, turning into a vicious fireball of the Third Reich. Stuart light tank here, there we go. Brandhand grenade there on the 5th car there, launching that infantry assault previously mentioned here to flash it out with the fires of the Third Reich. Academy caught the Rav squad, needs to pop more incendiary grenades. Then there you go, 5th car popping out the back door, even as the back door is lit on fire. Rav squad being bled out, needs here. Kubelwagen continues to watch the position, and not entirely sure he's got a squad in there as well. Could be moving those around, but either way, though, in the west, Paul.A.D. is breaking apart here. Skeletron's left flank. He is trying to kick in the door here, but Skeletron is trying to keep the door shut, even as the door is on fire. Stuart light tank has arrived here for Skeletron. Freedom and democracy. The arsenal of freedom is never ending. Back here, troops reinforcing, healing there for Paul.A.D. And we get Mechanized Regiment. Guessing a Puma here to hit back at the Stuart light tank here. The mechanization never ends on the Western Front. Ambulance on the way to the Skeletron there. Go caught the Sturmpionier here with its 30mm gun there, unleashing hell at close quarters against the German Sturmpionier, showing no mercy there. The M51, of course, there was a, fairly well-travelled tank during the Second World War, fought in North Africa, Italy, Sicily, Western Europe, even front in the Eastern Front, where the Soviets received a bunch of them. The Russians were not, or the Soviets were not quite as keen on it. The British actually liked it and compared and called it the Honey Stuart, so go figure. But the Soviets were not big fan of the Stuart light tank, if I remember correctly. Paul.A.D. there with a Puma, salvaging the 2-to-1. Western fuel being seized by the Americans. So, despite a slightly rough start there, where Paul.A.D. was dominating, Skeletron has been able to bounce back rather majestically here against the Germans. So, of course, we'll have to see how long that lasts now in the face of the Puma, aka the 234-2. That's the word total of 4 armored cars based off that 234 chassis. Fun fact. And the Puma was actually like the least common of them, in part because they're actually based off because they had a bunch of spare parts from a constant project known as the Leopard, but also because German High Command was not really keen on an armored car with that big of a gun and a turret. They were worried the crews would get a bit too bold, so they didn't really keep up production of it. They actually gone to the 234-3 and 4, which had a more assault gun sort of style mount with no turret, but bigger guns. So fun fact, the dart truck goes down here though. Skeletron though takes out the Kubelwagen. And there you go, Martin Luther Stewart here. A rather overextended attack here by Skeletron there. And Paul.A.D. could definitely use this to swing that control back in favour of Deutsch. And there you go, Stewart down. Rival squads almost from Grottos with heavy losses for Skeletron here in the attack against Paul.A.D. here. That was definitely in need of some artillery support like a mortar or a mortar half-track. That ended up costing Skeletron a lot. He also finally goes for the cavalry rifleman. Surprised at this. He typically tends to be like quite quick on them, but this time around, Skeletron, for what reasons, was a bit hesitant. Either way, though, this was pretty good for Paul.A.D. Not just because, again, you know, he took out 2 vehicles, he also salvaged them for 10 extra fuel. I mean, he, like, projected other stuff faster. Bringing in a machine guns there. This was a really favorable engagement. He's even going for looks now. Paul.A.D. here confident that more lighter equipment there will be the way forwards to victory. As for Skeletron, how will he respond to this? I mean, he's going to be up against like a looks backed up Puma. He's going to need either more bazookas, or he will need to take out fast for something a bit bigger. Well, there's also option C, which is going for the Captain for some anti-tank guns. So we'll have to see exactly how Skeletron responds to this. I mean, it's pretty atypical for an orbital commerce player like to go for like Puma then into looks here, so he may of course not be ready for this once it happens, because it is a very rare type of build here from Paul.A.D. But again, rare doesn't mean bad, it just means rare. And rare can also have its, you know, strengths, because again your opponent just doesn't expect it to. If they have like a specific build order in mind and countering that, you can completely throw them off with that. Almost losing the cavalry rifle against some really close calls here for Skeletron versus Paul.A.D, to be honest, some incredibly close calls. And still no artillery. Like on a map like Langraskaya, by the way, light artillery is great, so I think for Skeletron a mortar here would be amazing, though in my experience Skeletron's never been a big mortar fan. Ralph catching the point here. Luke's swinging out there for Paul.A.D. Catching the Ralph with this autocannon coaxial machine gun. In the centre, Fit coming flanked by the full Grenadier. Need to retreat here. Puma hammering away there. Back hit, reinforcing healing for Skeletron. This is going to be great here for Paul.A.D, but pretty horrific for Skeletron, I think. Pretty horrific. Oh, no, mind. He gets the 5th car, then the Germans do not see. So that's kind of always worried about there. For Skeletron, they've actually handed over the 5th car there to Paul.A.D. That would have been pretty devastating for Skeletron, but he does manage to get out of there. Still, Paul.A.D is swinging the map back in his favour here, in the favour of the Reich. Puma disengaging here from the Americans, but still firing off a few shots on the east side here. Kedma creeping up there in the background. Battle going meow meow. With an MG34 there for Paul.A.D being attempted again. I think he went for one and then cancelled it. Yes, Basil. So we've got the Puma as the Lieutenant. Bazooka shot there. 5th cal MG34 almost done. Skeletron is in fact taking up there. No dilly-dallying about. He's going to go for the Shermans. Against the Germans. Looks like punching holes in the Lieutenant punching holes back in return there. Fixing up the Puma here for the German Reich. Fult's going to be pushing forward here for Paul.A.D. No Sturmgewehrs in those. Probably going to happen soon here for Paul.A.D. Puma caught. He can't rifle charging him, then tank cell charge. Could get within range and maybe pop it, in which case that's going to be pretty bad here. Yep, no. Saved here by an MG34 just in time. Close call here for Paul.A.D and the German army, in particular the Puma. So there you go. Nice save there by the MG34 team. In the centre of their 5th car, they're trying to do the Fulton flanked up behind Skeletron again. Very aggressive maneuvers here by Paul.A.D. Definitely disrupting again Skeletron's battle plans a bit here. But of course, Skeletron is no stranger to disruption either. And is quick to move to the opponent's fuel point. Another push here, backed up by the MG34. Looks being about here. Back at Skeleton Space, nothing further happening. A bit more to go for the colony Sherman. Of course, if he goes for the regular Sherman or the 76mm Sherman. There you go, armor piercing around here from the 5th cal. Tang into the looks here. Could actually take it out with the rear armor exposed to. That's a bit of a mistake there with Paul.A.D. And no, gets away. Close call. That's the armor piercing rounds actually wear off just before he can finish off. A really close call there, though. Really close call. Pretty lucky there for Paul.A.D. Pretty lucky. Folks push forward to this train to another 5th cal and Ralph got Brandhand gun there, quickly denying them cover, but there's still the 5th cal machine gun. We could see wipe here on Paul.A.D. Yeah, no! Once more luck favours Paul.A.D, the cheeky devil. On the west side, Major secured the fuel point there, very good. Still, sometimes go for Skeleton calling the armor versus Paul.A.D, who himself has finally started calling a truck. He has actually lost the Fulton Grenadier squad though, so I guess that worked out in the end there for Skeleton. That looked like he didn't get it, but oh well. Major is the Puma here in the west. That is definitely not a win for the Major. In the centre, 5th cal setting up ready to repulse another German assault. In the Sherman is on the way for Skeletron. Looks it is getting repaired here by Paul.A.D's hard-working Sturm Pioneer. Pushing straight for the Sun Fuel with Raket in the Alpha. 5th car, they're opening up with its armor-piercing rounds, which besides increasing in penetration also gives a bit of damage bonus. It's also great just versus infantry, for example. For those wondering why he keeps popping it, even like there's no light vehicles in this arc of fire, it also works with infantry. It's not as good as in semi-armor-piercing rounds and the MD-34 and the MD-42, but it's, you know, still better than not popping in that sense. So, fun fact, then the West, we've got the folks pushing up here. Sherman almost done for Skeletron and Democracy. He's actually got quite a bit of munitions floating there. You could consider, like, after the Shermans, in fact, already now, weapon racks or grenades. I think weapon racks, though, for some bazookas on the Major, but also some bars on the rifle, I think would do Skeletron a lot of good here versus Paul.A.D. Well, of course, after he actually does go for it, but I think at this point there's a really strong case for it. In these there, Raket never routed after it tried to arrest the fuel on the west side. Carl being hit as well there. Good back and forth action here between Skeletron and Paul.A.D. Not a dull moment here. There we go, the Sherman is out. Of course, it does need to be mindful of the Puma here, which can actually take out the Sherman there under the right circumstances. And there we go again, armor piercing rounds here from the 5th car. Sherman going forward, Cav Rifle trying to get close here as well. Sherman misses the looks, Puma misses the Sherman. And there we go, anti-tank cell charge there, trying to dodge the Sherman. He made it worse, and that costs him the looks. A great killer for Skeletron. Puma, though, firing heat shields at the Sherman. The Sherman gets a good shot back still, but the heat shields, there's a good chance the Puma takes out the Sherman unless it gets very lucky. There we go, popping smoke to deflect fire from the 50 cal. Takes it out and then disengages through the smoke. A devious maneuver of Paul.A.D, leaving the Skeletron Sherman tank on fire in the flames, and the crew melted. In the west side, their focus ground western fuel point there, back from the Americans. 5th gun there, tearing into the German infantry as they launch a counterattack through the centre and the east side, though. The Puma keeps up the work here. 4 kills, Veteran 2 there, snapping away at the armies. There's unfortunate Delbs, and there go 5th gun, the west taking to retreat before it gets turned into a crisp. 299 versus 422 here. Skeletron is in most ways leading against Paul.A.D, and then west, the Major is routed by, well, the Fultz Grenadiers. Guessing no weapon racks then. More likely just going to save up for another Sherman here versus Paul.A.D. He actually went for the battle group headquarters, so no Panzers anytime soon. I mean, he's very reliant on the Raket. The Puma, though, of course, in a pinch, he could add Panzerschrecks on the Sturm Pioneers. Well, a Panzerschreck. We'll, of course, have to see the actor decides to do that. That, of course, is an entirely different subject matter, though. As of late, it has become more commonplace for Orbital Commander players to add a Panzerschreck on their Sturm Pioneer. So a bit of quiet here for now, but again, that's soon going to end here as Paul.A.D swings in for our next set of offensives versus the Americans. Back at base here for Skeletron, the base remains silent for the most part. He's got quite a bit of manpower flood. I mean, some more infantry right now for Skeletron. I don't think they'd be a bad idea at all. Like, you could do with another Cav Rifle squad, another Rifle squad. Plus, I still think a mortar would be an excellent addition here for Skeletron. But I'm definitely surprised he's not calling in more cavalry riflemen. He typically tends to be like, you know, pretty big on them. And he's like only got effectively 3 squads. There you go, up to 4 now versus opponents, then also 4. And of course, adding the Thompson there, so thumbs up to Skeletron. But I am still surprised it took him so long to call an additional of them. In this regard, I mean, Skeleton's build order in this regard is definitely deviating a bit from the typical norm of Skeletron builds, in my opinion. And experience. And the Federal moving forward here. Use the machine gun to actively support this advantage there in the name of the Reich. Catch the Major and the Rifle squad in a bit of a nasty arc of fire. There we go. He could pop the incendiary piercing rounds here, but I'm guessing he's not intending to do that. And there you go, telecalled in here on Paul.A.D's MD-34 crew. Sherman number 2 on the way for Skeletron. Well, this one lasted a bit longer than the first one. Will he be able to take out the Puma this time around? Who knows? But we got Paul.A.D there with another truck. That'll be the Schwer Panther's quarters. Now the big question, of course, is then he try and go straight ahead for the King Tiger. Does he go for medium armor? That is the bigger question here. Then, of course, that's going to be hanging all over our heads. And, of course, I imagine it's all something that is already weighing heavily on Skeletron's mind. Like, does he have to worry about King Tigers? Does he have to worry about just medium armor? And you fed for the pinning down the Cav Rifle in the center. Like, going to try another telecall if he could. Can't just the munitions. 5th coming on the other side. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure he's taking head on into this. Guess he's a bit mistaking there. Something else went wrong. I don't know. Fifth color push back the MU-34, but the damage was being done here to Skeletron once more as Paul.A.D's attacks just refuse to cease. These start to push back the Kednev, they almost wiped. It's Sherman ready, MU-34 in trouble as well here. They've only had some grenades. And there you go, fifth color wiped with the fires of the Third Reich. Sherman away, they're adding the fifth color, switching on to high close rounds in the south here. Fulton, this was the lieutenant here. Lieutenant is in a pretty perilous situation, unless, of course, Paul.A.D isn't paying attention. Sherman there keeps the infantry off the machine gun, but the Sherman takes a beating there from the Puma, who may just, of course, have go pop the heat shells again. There we go. Germans pushed off here. Fulton could theoretically be wiped, but I think statistically the chances are a bit on the lower end there, unless he gets very lucky. There you go. Strap punch goes up and authorized for Paul.A.D. Puma there continues to back off here, baiting the infantry in the Schwer 100 quarters line of fire. Sherman slowing ahead here for freedom and democracy, and the East, their 5th cal, continues to set up a zone of control there, which the German infantry cannot easily breach without risking life and limbs. May give us the Puma here. Skeletron there, back reinforcing healing. Still no weapon racks or grenades there for him. Looks like he's calling in a lot of artillery though. This time on the Schwerer Panzerkwartier. A few 105 mm high explosive shells that are raining down from above. Though not having much of an impact except on that shed. I doubt that's going to make it into the daily reports there to High Command. What about the shed? What shed? The shed? I guess it got blown up as an engine. My God, we have to tell the Führer about the shed. But why? It's a shed. It's not just any shed. It's a Führer own shed he designed for France. What? I don't get it either, but we have to report it to him. Now. Lieutenant being expressed by the MU-34 there. Fifth kill prime coming far there. Sherman flanking in here. 1 kill. Puma driving ahead there for Deutschland, and a light gun for Paul.A.D. finally bringing in some light artillery here versus the Americans, where Skeletron continues to operate with no real sense of light artillery here versus his Germanic counterpart. He's just basically relying heavily on the media with either real or fake barrages. Real fake barrages. Not those fake barrages you can get in Walmart. Grabbing the fuel point again, he's denying it to the Germans. Puma moving in again, close to Veterinary 3 here for Paul.A.D. I mean, good preservation of the Puma, even if it is preservation of the looks. Showed a few hazards there. Still need to deal with that one. Sherman could attack it, I guess. Lieutenant called here by the Schwer 100 quarters. Decent shot there, obliterates our top. Puma going for Sherman going for the Puma. He's not firing armor piercing rounds, he's firing high explosives. I don't think Skeletron's realised he's firing high explosives at the Puma. In the actual war, the firing high explosives, oh, I guess that worked too, would actually worked out there, but just don't figure that worked out here as well. There we go, got the Puma. Great. But cost him the Sherman. That's great for Paul.A.D. I mean, sure, he's got no tanks and Skeleton quick replace his tanks, but that's like a Puma for a Sherman. You know, from just a pure math perspective, that's pretty good there for the Germans in terms of trade-off. That said, obviously for Skeletron the ideal would be to not lose his Sherman if he can quick replacement. He's also feeling quite a bit of manpower again. Like at this point he may actually just want to consider like going for a fuel cache or 2 to assist him with more fuel here versus him, and he's calling in more artillery. Something that I think also fake barrages. He's just constantly doing it. He's messing there with Paul.A.D's mind at this point. Another Sherman way this time though, the 76mm Sherman, something with a slightly bigger gun here, as of course at this point he is expecting something a bit more nastier than a Puma. Folks, there's the 5th cal there, we've got the MU-34 on the flank there, could pop the internal piercing rounds close to Vetting Field and the MU-34. And there you go, 5th cal caught the Fulton is in this line of sight there and quickly pins down the entire unit. MU-34 almost done for Skeletron. More cavalry rifle there. Skeletron up to a total of 5 infantry squads. They're definitely outnumbering Paul.A.D's 4 squads. Thumbs up to that. But there we go. Paul.A.D, not to be outdone, calls in Obersoldaten of his own. Of course, not aware of it, but you know, he probably had that sense. He needed more infantry. 76 was shown out the Skeletron. Ready to face something bigger than Pumas. Gentlemen, we need bigger tanks with bigger guns. But why, sir? The 75mm is adequate as the Puma pod. What if something bigger than a Puma? A bigger Puma, sir? Bigger than a Puma, not just a bigger Puma necessarily. Oh. I guess. Cavalry from the Fulton on the west here, tanks from the Thompson and the Grease guns, but they are being outgunned here quite viciously there by the Germans. I'm trying to say another word, but clearly that one was a bit beyond my skills at this point of day. Telephone the Fulton Lieutenant. Troops sitting out there from Paul.A.D's base. Sherman there hauling about, hanging the 5th cal there. But Paul.A.D wants to perform some of the defensive. Will he go for the Pentacle? Will he try and hold out now for the King Tiger here? There's the Skeletron. Will he go for a Panther? Will he go for the Sturm Team? And there's quite a few options here for Paul.A.D versus Skeletron. So the question, of course, is which path does he take here? Sherman quick to engage here. The Kidnappers are quite spectacularly not within range here of the Sherman. It looks like Skeletron's going to hit here Paul.A.D's base. It's a base raid, ladies and gentlemen. There we go, engaging there the flak emplacements. The flak 38. Improvement of the flak 30 anti-aircraft gun there, which included a gun shield, amongst other things, I believe. Then you have cavalry up, there's full team, got the 5th car backing up there as well. Basically, what this means is you're going to basically clear up the path to be attacked into the base with infantry from the east here. Of course, long term, you want to destroy that as well, so the infantry can't be caught up by there. But that's definitely pretty sneaky there by Skeletron there. It also, of course, sends a signal here to Paul.A.D that his base is not safe. It also, of course, I think signals to him that he can't just roll out for King Tiger, just in case, you know, Paul.A.D might even think that was possible. There you go. Wipes the 5th car with a nice bung grenade there. Thumbs up to Paul.A.D. A nice flank there. Punishing Skeletron there for extending. In the center of the Sherman there, catching the Falcons alongside the infantry. Routing Paul.A.D's full Sconadilla. Sherman there with 5 kills already. Quickly popping up the crew. Honestly, a bit close to the front line there, but clearly Skeletron is not concerned about that. There we go. Panther on the way with the Panzer Commandant there for Paul.A.D. Infantry right, I mean, again, there's nothing currently screening the Sherman, so basically the Germans could rush the crew and clear it out, stealing the Sherman, turning against Skeletron. Skeletron, though, is now closing in on the possibility of another Sherman already. There is another 76mm Sherman, which would be quite a chance for the Panther to deal with, but there you go. Has suffered damage, he didn't get fully repaired. Another 76 on the way, there's Sherman trying to disengage, but the Panther falls in hot pursuit here. Sherman misses. Panther fall, though, misses as well. Carve point hit again there. Paul.A.D there with the very consistent fuel cut off hitting. Sherman there trying to take a very long route here to avoid detection by German panzers and anti-tank weapons, flanking through the, well, just pushing through the center, flanking here. Paul.A.D's main force up pursuing the Sherman. Second Sherman was almost done. Caught here by the MD-54. The captain quickly suppressed and pushed back. Still, he was able to buy enough time to get the Sherman out. The vehicle crew, for some reason, moving ahead. I think there's a misclick there by Skeletron on the west side, though. Points have been grabbed here for democracy. Second Sherman almost done. He remembers what he's doing there, pulls back. Very good. We got 190 to 357 Skeletron there. Definitely with the victory point, he's still, but he's losing the edge here now as the Germans once more, as Paul.A.D once more swings back for Deutschland. There you go, second, 76 minutes German out there for Skeletron, freedom and democracy. Almost got the Western fuel point again there. Oh, stop short right there. Maybe we've retreated a bit too quickly there. Either way, the deed is done. Schwerpunted quarters quiet there for Paul.A.D for now. Major down. He's also lost some cavalry riflemen, by the way, but there you go, flanking the Kedners, pushing them back. If you could wipe them, destroy them, and still might be pretty great here for Skeletron. Definitely kind of disastrous for Paul.A.D. There you go, wipes one of the Kedner crews. Empty pushing up, he caught the MD-54 though. He will need to support, he will need to destroy the Kedner for there, I think. Second German run, there you go, full to the push back here. Driving into the base here, looking to inflict terrible harm here to Paul.A.D and the German Reich there. Was the Panther trying towards the center of the Sherman there, definitely in a bit of a danger zone here. Almost got the full squad wiped here, and oh, does he get away? Does he get away? No, he goes down to the 5th because they're pintle mounted on the Shermans. Now the big question is, will he destroy it or will he seize it? Or will he actually allow Paul.A.D to get it back? There you go, he destroys it. Definitely think there's, you know, like, you definitely should not allow Paul.A.D to get it back there. So if he's not going to grab it, you definitely see it destroyed, obviously. And Sherman's opening on the Panther 4, shooting through the hedges, getting good shots. Then the Panther 4 down to just 3/4 of health there. By the looks of it, there goes first from here, but they got the Kenman ready here to try and take out the Shermans there. Nice work by Paul.A.D, but he's really close here. Sherman's backing off. They could actually risk losing them, didn't enough. We did not see smoke deployed here by Skeletron against Paul.A.D there to cover the Sherman's retreat here. A bit risky, honestly. Still, map control there is actually still favouring here Paul.A.D despite the losses. Skeletron was not quite able to deliver sufficiently grievous blows there to his German opponent. There you go, another cavalry rifle scored out of a Skeletron. Panther need repairs for Kenman from number 3 for Paul.A.D. Really concerned about that Sherman tank being unleashed against him. He brings in more builds to repair there. Quick ball to the Sherman. Ball to caught here, and then we're coming up the Shermans. Almost got one of those Shermans knocked out entirely. In the center there we got the cab rifles, the MD-54 straight ahead here, lacking any sort of grenades there. Smoke otherwise, he can't really stop the MD-54 and has to retreat there. Plus, of course, the Speer Panther quarters did make the task easier. Again, a lack of grenades here. And the Shermans getting hammered here. I'm not entirely sure what's pushing in the Shermans like this. They're both like heavily damaged. I think that might have been a misclick there, but Skeletron like only tend to get one Sherman in there, instead end up with both of them. That could actually like backfired spectacularly on Skeletron there, so kind of lucky it didn't. Meanwhile, Paul.A.D once more trying to set the fuel point. In fact, he's trying to set the base. There you go, a heat shell knocks out the ambulance here. Paul.A.D showing no mercy. Backing off with the Panther 4. Fix up the Shermans. Again, once more the crew apparently gets going there on its own. Not entirely sure why that keeps happening for Skeletron. Western fuel point there being seized by the Lieutenant. Panther 4 again backing off here. We've got the cavalry rifle forward here for Skeletron. MD-54 person the cavalry rifle as well. Sherman's almost fixed up there for freedom and democracy. In fact, he's also close to a third one, which would definitely be a fairly big headache here for Paul.A.D to deal with. There you go. Panther 4 was the lieutenant in the west. Another Sherman, this time the regular one, probably to help deal with infantry support weapons in particular. I imagine that Sherman will be serving the purpose of mostly firing high explosive shells here to help deal with those like Kenmaps. So of course, you could also just go for a bunch of Scots and just bombard the positions. By the way, though, that's it again. I think going just for the 7.5mm Sherman for the high explosive shells makes sense. In fact, here's a fun fact about Sherman tank crews and the 7.6mm Sherman. Most actors didn't like it. They actually preferred the 75mm Sherman because the 75mm Sherman actually had better high explosive shells, whereas the higher velocity shells of the 76mm Shermans didn't have as much high explosives in them for those types of shells, by the way, so they weren't actually big fans of it. So, little fun side note there, little fun side note. Orbital Darting being pushed back here by the Shermans. Skeletron there, drumming head for democracy, the free world, capitalism. Regular Sherman out there. So there we go, that's a total of 3 tanks here versus Paul.A.D's 1 tank. Sherman's once more driving to the base here. Skeletron, a fierce base raider here. Orbital done in some deep sauerkraut here as the Shermans execute them within the premises of their own base. Skeletron more than happy to show that nowhere is safe for Paul.A.D, not even his own base. There you go, the kidnapping here for the base. Science have got the Sherman in, like, folks, they could be crushed. They're so close to each other. Good lord! This is. Oh, they got so lucky they didn't get completely squished into pancakes. Meanwhile, the Sherman attacks the kidnappers here. Paul.A.D caught in a hell of a twist there. And the cavalry rifle could pop some charge there on the Panther 4. And they do get it off here. The kidnappers in trouble as well. The Sherman with a damaged engine can't get out of there. Other Sherman could fire smoke to be coming up. There you go. Panther 4 out. Sherman's not moving, it's just firing at the Germans. There you go, it gets knocked out. He's trying to funnel the kidnappers. He's trying to clear them out in the base despite heavy damage. There you go, got one of them. He's just going for this coup de grace, at least attempted, but still, Paul.A.D is resisting. He doesn't want to go quietly into the night here. He will fight tooth and nail against the Americans, and he is bloody well taking a heavy toll down Skeletron. This is brutal. burning tanks within Paul.A.D's own base. The cannon was cleared out. Infantry dying in the droves. But Skeletron is paying a high price in life as well. That his infantry is also dying in droves, and his tanks, of course, are left ablaze. Vetchi tuned the Sherman halfway to the Aisler, but likely will go down, finally deploying some smoke here, but it may not be enough to save the Sherman here from the wrath of Paul.A.D and Deutschland. More counter-rifling here for Skeletron. Fifth gun being cleared out by the Obersoldaten. That'd be a great haul there for Paul.A.D. And the 2nd Panzerdivision as Skeletron, the 1st Armored Division, is trying to hold out this Sherman crew there. But Paul.A.D is having none of this. He wants this Sherman aflame. Knocks this tin can out, meine Herren. I'll knock you out. This is my right fist. Nice like harder than a Panzerfaust, I'll let you know. Almost got the full squad there. Almost. Looks like this time Paul.A.D had a bit of luck there again. 150 to 194. The victory point gap between the two has also been closed quite significantly. The Skeletron still has a small lead over Paul.A.D. A small lead. Fixing up the Sherman. Hard work there. Hard work. Big well. Huh, fancy that. Got the Western field point there. Driving into the base here with the cavalry rifleman. Skeletron knows no fear. He only knows forwards. There you go. Wipes the cannon effort. This quickly forced to retreat here. And you've heard for here, Aislo, by the way, they're backed up the Langraskaya 2, in fact, is decimating here. Skeletron Center Force needs to retreat before they get annihilated. In fact, that might already be too late here. On the west side, they're fighting for the field point. Sturmpunier, there's the lieutenant. Machine gun there, not retreated and wiped. Really underestimating. Just over-attacks. It's hard to see what's going on there. And what happened there? Did he just transfer into the base there and get them wiped? Good lord. Skeletron seems to be looking increasingly a bit desperate. Making a lot of not great calls here, to be honest. After losing that base attack, he's just, I think, kind of suffering from tunnel vision, but in a slightly different way than normal. It's like, you know, just focus on the center point. He's like utterly obsessed now with destroying Paul.A.D's base no matter the cost. Staying to the base, I mean. I will say, this is pretty rare to see such consistent base assaults from, like, any player. Like, normally it's be like, you know, once here and there, but, like, Skeletron at this point is just doing it all the time. Like, he's just effectively ignoring most of the rest of the map there to attack his opponent's base. I don't think I've seen something like this very often. Like, outside of, like, you know, on occasion when I would play against the Brits back in, like, the early days, where, like, dealing with the base was almost the easiest thing. But yeah, like, you know, in an Oberkurs with the Americans match, this is pretty unheard of. Like, the only other place where, like, you know, base attacking was kind of messed like in the very early game, where bases were a lot less robust. That turns out to be a problem because the KV-8 back then could just burn down the entire base in like less than a minute. So of course, instead of just nerfing the KV-8, they just nerfed base destruction as well entirely. As something I was disagreed with a bit, but anyways. Either way, the key point is this is practically unheard of in, like, you know, well, modern Companies 2 meta game. Now the Panther with the Paul.A.D here. As Skeletron strikes once more here, line gun being pushed back. Then I came to Nitro open up in the Shermans here. Need to destroy that Schwerpunkt Project deploying smoke here. Center being grabbed. They're not grabbing the 5th car though, it's a bit interesting. But looking to destroy that silence the ability here for Paul.A.D to bring in more Panzers versus those Amerikanen. Cavalry dashing ahead. He almost got the line for gun there. Schwerpunkt calls him up. There you go. Other line for gun opening with Cavalry. He needs more infantry. He needs more everything. Almost got the Schwerpunkt quarter turning around to deal with the Panther 4 here, which of course is firing heat shield there. German could go down here. Cavalry arriving down to 1 man. They're going to get wiped here. They're going to get wiped. And there you go. Down they go. Skeletron's losses at this point are absolutely ludicrous. He definitely seems to at some point lost the plot here. Another cavalry squad for Skeletron. Not entirely sure I didn't just finish the Schwerpunkt calls and back off and cover more smoke. But here we are. Both Shermans needed repairs, including the one Ace crew here. 28 kills to the name. The battlefield headquarters is down, like, but it does look like he's basically aiming for, like, you know, an annihilation victory here versus Paul.A.D. I mean, go figure. Go figure. Cav rifleman westwards. Fix up the Shermans. Almost got them fixed up. Good artillery here on Skeletron's men. You can actually soon go for third Sherman. He still has most of the map. He also still has the victory upon lead. So, like, Skeletron, you know, despite some pretty awkward calls here and there, he's still kind of in the match. And he's going for another attempt at the base. This time the lieutenant and the cav rifle. There you go. Third Sherman for him. He's going for it again, though. Straight into smoke. But there you go. Panther again. I need to back off the Shermans already. This is turning into a hornet's nest, which Skeletron, I think, cannot, like, you know, keep fighting in here. Almost got the Panther fall, though. Almost got the fall. It's a bit short, though, fall. Monty, 29 kills in that Sherman. 29. That is an incredible rate of kills here. The folks are being pummeled here by the Shermans. Like, Ken members firing and missing in the south here. Lieutenant Captain going forwards here. Flag in place, and they're still in operation. They're preventing him from wiping out the inside of his opponent's base, but he still goes for it. He's still. Oh, he's almost got it, but no! The flag in place, and the Roman Panther 4 and the MU-54 prohibits him from executing the Lieutenant. Why? The absolute, like, just sheer bloody mindedness in these kind of attacks is fascinating. Like, it's just so incredibly rare to watch this from, like, any kind of higher ranked players, but that makes it just so much more exciting. Sham's being fixed up here though for Skeletron. Got 109 versus 159. You can still win this on victory points, but it needs to be, like, you know, a bit smarter. We got more capital right from there. Another Panther 4. Probably he briefly considered something else, but I think he realized, like, wait, what else am I calling in here? It's like, yeah, I need more Panzers. He's going for it again. The Skeletron pain train knows only one destination: Berlin. And of course, the Kenner ready for it. Folks being hammered here. Panther already splitting up the tanks already. Should have deployed smoke at the very least. He does get like Ken with one Sherman Zor about to get knocked. We've got bazookas on the Sturmpunia, no Panzer Shreks. Other Sherman moving in, but it's already heavily damaged. Flanking up behind the Panther with the other Sherman. Sherman here about to get knocked out. He's not firing the infantry. Oh dear. Got the Panther 4, but the other one's almost ready. And the Sherman is just doing nothing. Oh dear, he's not paying attention. There's too much going for Skeletron. The infantry's being murdered, but so is Skeletron's tanks, and his infantry's also arriving now. It's utter pandemonium. It's just a madhouse. It's an insane asylum on fire. After someone dumped a lot of psychotropics into the water supply. We lost an infantry unit. Down to just 2 heavily damaged Shermans from infantry squads here. We got 87 versus 152. Like, at this point, I'm tempted to say more people have died in Paul.A.D's space than the rest of the battlefield, which is quite the hell of an achievement to, like, have. Oh well. The Propagandacast always providing you with the most choice and entertaining matches possible, ladies and gentlemen. Always there to entertain and educate. Major out there, I'm guessing just to help grab points here more than anything, maybe call in some artillery. Like, I'm otherwise not entirely sure what Skeleton's plan is at this point, except, I guess, you know, kill more of Paul.A.D's stuff within his base here. Like he's discovered there's some kind of secret achievement. Another cavalry squad there for Skeletron. Until he called in there. We got the Orbison guy in the centre alongside the 5th cal there, which he failed to get back. feel like that was a mistake with the Skeletron. Imagine like actually set up a 50 cal at the edge of his opponent's base there. I think that could have been pretty powerful, Skeletron. There you go. Sherman's on the warpath again. This time, guys, we're going to Berlin. For reals. 87 is 110. Down into the base again. A lot of troops that bunch up. We got the Kevmevs ready. We got the bazooka ready. No Panzershake still. He's just diving in. He's not fighting the infantry. Not entirely sure why. There we go. Coming up there. Being met with a Kevmev fire. Panzershake or bazooka fire there. Panzer will also have. There we go. Good shot on the Panzer IV, but I mean, this is just badness. Smoked a plot there for once. Should have done that some of the older times. Just one before down to his opponent's base, to be honest, like this. About to lose a Sherman there, leaving only the A Sherman with 40 kills! 40 kills! And the death totals continues to rise inside of Paul.A.D's base! Like, good lord! Like, I'm fairly certain again at this point, no one else in like competitive Communist 2 history has ever had that many die inside of their own base. That is just amazing. So there you go. GG, game over. What a match, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment. This is important thing. Cheers. Thank you for watching. Of course, consider donating or pledging on Patreon. Links in the description. Signing off for now, but we'll be back tomorrow with another exciting match. Bye, everyone.